about to make turkey meatball soup, albondigas, Mexican meatball soup. Hi everyone, welcome to Viva la Kitchen. Today we're going to be making turkey meatball soup, or as they would say in Spanish, albondigas, Mexican meatball soup. This is a classic in all of Mexico and it's absolutely delicious. Today we're going to be making it with a slight variation. Usually this dish can be made with meat, or it could be, or beef I meant, or it could be made with chicken, but today we're going to be making it with turkey. And so it's going to give that more kind of healthy appeal and a different taste, I'd like to say, but it's very simple and it's very healthy. So let's take a look at what those ingredients are. So the first step with the albondigas, or the turkey meatballs as they would say, is we're going to want to make sure we turn on our stove. You're going to want to warm up a pan of hot water, so let's make sure it gets boiling. So we've got that going in the back. And now in the meantime, we're going to get started on making our turkey meatballs. It's a very, very simple process. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to season the turkey. So as you can see, the turkey's already in here. What we're going to do is we're going to put 1 tablespoon of fresh paprika. This is very important because it gives it a nice taste since the turkey's a little bit bland. You're also going to want to season it with some garlic salt. If you don't have garlic salt, you can always combine garlic powder and some salt. So you're going to want to throw that into the mix because, again, turkey can sometimes be a little bit boring. You need to make sure you give it nice, spice, nice taste so that it can give it that extra boost. So after you've got that garlic salt, you're going to want to also incorporate some oregano. If you don't have oregano, it's okay. You can use Italian seasoning or basil, or even chop up some fresh parsley. So there's a lot of different options, and actually in Mexico, believe it or not, they actually use mint. So if you had some mint and you wanted to incorporate that, you can also do that as well. Just depends to your tasting or your palate, as they would say. And last but not least, you're also going to want to put in some fresh ground pepper. So once that's nice and seasoned, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to incorporate a few different elements. But before we do that, let's start mixing it all in. So once you've got it all mixed in, what you're going to do is you're going to add a couple next ingredients. I always like to put in rice because rice gives it more consistency. It's going to also help you fill up. I personally tend to use brown rice since brown rice takes a really long time to cook, as we know, 40 minutes. I used brown rice that I already cooked. Sometimes they already have pre-cooked brown rice. You can use that. Or if you don't, you can also use white rice. It's definitely optional to you. If you use white rice, it could be uncooked and it's gonna cook while the meatballs are cooking. But today, since I'm trying to go for a quick, healthy, and easy recipe, I'm just gonna use brown rice that's already been cooked. And next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a loaf or a slice of a piece of bread. So if you have some bread that's in your fridge that's already gone bad, or you feel like, oh, it's almost close to a point where it's like the edge and I don't like the end, this is the time that you can use it. You just need 1 slice, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of get it a little bit soggy with some water. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna just break it up. So we're gonna break it up, kind of into little crumbs or little pieces. Once you've kind of have it into little mushy, kind of broken up pieces, that's when we're going to want to include it in our turkey. And last but not least, very important, is an egg. You can use 1 egg, you can use 2 eggs. The egg is very important because it's what's going to give that meatball the formation. It's going to allow the meat to stick. So this is very important. So once you've got all those, it's time to mix. So as you can see, our turkey's ready to go. It's already been nice and mixed. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna make the meatballs. The boiling water in the back is ready to go. So these are gonna cook immediately. So let's go ahead and get that going. So we're gonna kind of roll them up into little balls, you can see, kind of the size of a quarter. And so we're just gonna drop them right in. And it's up to your preference too, like if you like a bigger meatball, that's totally fine. You can make them bigger. I personally like to go for the smaller size because they're just more tasty that way, but you can do it bigger if you'd like. So as you can see, I finished making my albondigas, or turkey meatballs as we would say in English. What we're gonna do now is we've got it on medium-high heat. We're gonna go ahead and close them and let them continue to cook. This process is gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes. So as we have the meatballs cooking, this is where I like to prep. As you can see, it's already ready here, but this is normally when I would go ahead and start chopping my carrots, my zucchini, my onion, and my tomato. And so this is the time to use for that prep. The prep doesn't take too long, a couple minutes, but again, in those 10 to 15 minutes that you've got the albondigas cooking, that's when you can do that prep. So once you have your prep ready to go, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna heat up a smaller pan and put in some oil so that we can go ahead and saute some of that onion and the tomato. So the oil's already heated up, ready to go, and we're gonna wanna go ahead and throw in our chopped onion. Personally, I like to chop my onion as small as possible because again, the smaller you cut it, the quicker it's gonna cook. So you're gonna wanna let your onions cook for about 2 minutes. Just give it a nice little stir so they don't burn. And once the 2 minutes are up, we're then gonna add in our tomatoes. After you let those tomatoes rest for about a minute or two, we're gonna wanna add in our tomato sauce. And it's optional, if you'd like to put a little bit of garlic powder, you can do that. After about a minute, we'll go ahead and turn off that burner. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this into the albondigas soup. It's been about 5 minutes. We'll let it sit for another 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're gonna go ahead and add in our carrots. So it's been about 2 minutes. Now we're gonna add our carrots, and as they would say in Spanish, huele muy rico. It smells really good. So as you can see, next in line is gonna be the zucchini, and last but not least is gonna be the spinach. This usually cooks a lot quicker, so I'm not gonna add it just yet. So we'll go ahead and let those carrots cook for 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, if you can already see, the meatballs are pretty much ready. And again, that really helps to use that rice that's already cooked. If it weren't, it would take a little bit longer. So as you can see, they're almost basically ready, and it's been about 8 minutes since we started. So they're cooking fast. Another 2 to 3 minutes, we'll cook those carrots, and then we're gonna go ahead and add our zucchini. We'll let that zucchini cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. And the last step, I mean, you could leave this to the very end, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now, is we're gonna wanna season our soup, or caldo, as it would say in Spanish. You could use different variations of, for example, vegetable stock. They come in a little kind of square vegetable bouillon, or in this case, I'm gonna use some Vege-sal. These are all different options. If you don't have that, you could always be creative and use, chicken bouillon or something else. Totally optional though. All right, so it's been 2 to 3 minutes since we've got that zucchini, and wow, this looks so amazing. Oh, look at that. It's quite the albondigas soup. The turkey meatball soup is looking excellent. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and turn off our heat because we don't need that anymore. So we'll go ahead and turn that off, and we're gonna add in our spinach. So our spinach was the last ingredient. And this is optional. If you don't like spinach, you don't have to put spinach, or hey, if you like kale, why not include some kale? Just to give it a boost. So we'll go ahead and cover it and let it sit for 1 minute. So it's been a minute that we left our spinach in there and the stove was off. And as you can see, voila, there you go. And there you have it. Quick, healthy, and easy. How to make turkey meatball soup. Albondigas, or Mexican meatball soup, as they would say. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, ring that bell, go ahead and share that with your friends and family, and thank you so much for watching. Enjoy!